You know what that means. It's time for US Lacrosse Coaches on Call. This week, we're joined by women's national team assistant and Stony Brook women's lacrosse head coach Joe Spallina. He's with Team USA through the next World Cup cycle, serving under head coach Jenny Levy. And he's also the winningest coach in Stony Brook history, taking that team to national prominence since taking over in 2012. Some have called him the busiest man in lacrosse. Team USA duties, Stony Brook duties. He spent many years leading the New York Lizards as well, including an MLL championship in 2015. He also coaches at the club level, leading the vaunted Team 91 Crush team, a team many consider to be the best club squad of all time. So let's go on call with Coach Spallina and Travis Eldridge.
So we go on call with Joe Spallina, the U.S. women's assistant coach, also the head coach at Stony Brook. Joe, let's start off with this U.S. women's national team because everyone pointing toward next summer's World Cup, and obviously you have to tweak some things in terms of your process to get ready for that because of everything we have going on. How have you guys as a coaching staff tried to tweak things in order to make sure you're ready for next summer?
Well, we've had calls and staying in contact with the players. Other than that, it's just a lot of planning behind the scenes, and there's so many unknowns, like, what exactly is going to happen? Are the games going to get postponed, pushed back? But I think the biggest thing that Jenny said, we're just operate as if everything's going to stay on course and move forward as a group and make sure that everybody's dialed in and ready to go. So at this point, it's a lot of evaluating on film, just kind of going back to our different sessions that we've had together, as we kind of enter an unknown area of when we're going to be able to get back with the team. And because like you said, it's coming soon. So, there's a lot of excitement, the games being in the United States. So, we have to make sure they're ready.
I'm glad you mentioned that. They're back on home soil, and it's been a while since not only the games have been on home soil, but since the U.S. has won gold on home soil. How important is it with the landscape of the possible Olympics and everything else going on? How important are this World Cup for the U.S. women's game?
It's so exciting. I mean, the importance, it's beyond words in a sense where, I think our team does such a great job of getting into the grassroots, connecting with kids. And I think US Lacrosse, the same thing. So the support, and they run parallel, and that's really important. And I think everybody understands you're going to build something that, that's going to last, and the support's going to be there for the sport. You got to start down, the foundation, the grassroots area. So, you look at a lot of our players and how embedded they are in social media and connecting with fans, and then getting them to show up to the games. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, the performance on the field. We have to be an incredible. We're entertainers. And with the players we have, we're really excited about that. So we're looking at that. We're looking at, I think the rule changes. Hopefully there's a shot clock in the World Games where we can really keep fans excited the entire game and locked in. So, we don't go backwards. So we're excited about that. These athletes from every country are incredible. And to see that athleticism on full display is what people want to see when they come to the game. So, we're fired up.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with excitement. I think just the atmosphere, they're in Baltimore, it's a hotbed, the number of people that you hope are able to come out if everything goes according to plan, it seems like it would be a special atmosphere. How does everything going on challenge your selection process? You mentioned trying to evaluate so many different players. You've had a lot of players into the system at some point. Does this change anything about in terms of any players that you'd like to still get a look at?
Well, I think it changes things. And to be perfectly honest, I think it changes things in a couple different layers, and I've seen it coaching the pro men's game. A lot changes in a year. So, I think when you look at that kind of stuff, right, and the benefit to the current seniors who I believe we had 4 that were in camp with us last, maybe it was 5 or 6 even. So for them to go back to school for an extra year is really helpful to us, because those players are now going to have another year of conditioning, another year of having the stick in their hand literally every day. So I look at that as a tremendous, advantage for us with some of our younger players, and being able to play another year of college lacrosse where there's not that dead time between the end of their careers and that, because that is a very difficult time that I've seen in the past, in coaching the MLL, those guys, when it's the first time in their lives when they actually have to, there's nobody telling them what time practice is, what time the lift is, and all those things. So that, and then, I think it gives us this time down has given us an opportunity to really evaluate a lot of film. Sometimes it's paralysis by analysis when you're looking at it so many times, and and to really kind of get a better look, maybe with other players that are college players that are the young guns, the next wave of superstars, and just being able to see them a little bit more extensively.
You mentioned going back to school. You've got a bunch of players coming back to you guys at Stony Brook, including Allie Kennedy, who's in the mix for this U.S. women's national team. You guys were ranked number 5 in the country. We hit on how disappointing it was for the season to end the way it did, because it was tough for all the players. But now you have a bunch of these players coming back, and it's going to be a pretty loaded roster once again for you. How do you manage the expectations and probably the excitement level of all the players, and also the unknown of what we have going on as you try to look ahead to maybe a fall ball and hopefully a spring season?
And that's the thing, right? Because you don't, what are you preparing for? Where's the starting line? Where's the finish line? I don't know that. Even, my own kids, one of my sons is a 2022. He's about to go through the recruiting process. Are they going to have tournaments? Are they not going to have tournaments? So just looking forward to my Stony Brook team. I haven't had this level of excitement for a team, in a very long time. And this team is just, they have it all. When you look at, to have Allie back, and all those returning starters, our entire starting team, and then when you add into us being able to add a transfer in Kaylee Huff, who's an incredible player, somebody I've watched very closely since she was playing varsity in 9th grade, at a local high school around here, a fierce competitor, and just really fits who we are, like, perfectly. And then our incoming freshman class, this is the best, highest rated, freshman class we've ever had commit. So when you look at adding that talent upon the returning players, and we started 4 or 5 freshmen this year, so they're not even freshmen anymore. They're so advanced experience-wise and stuff along those lines. It's hard not to get excited. It's something I think about every single day, and our group chat is buzzing. Like, they understand that and it doesn't die down, and that's exciting, because I think it's so self-driven with our kids, and I think they all have a tremendous appreciation for the game, maybe even bigger now after having it taken from them.
So recruiting this summer is going to look like unlike any summer you've probably seen in your head coach. Like yeah, right. A lot of this. You see it from both sides. You see it from being a head coach of a Division I program, and also you mentioned your son, who obviously is expected to be one of the most highly recruited players in his class. How do wearing the 2 different hats differ through this uncertainty?
Well, it's actually really been helpful in a sense where, like, I coach a group of boys that are 2022s, and I try to tell them it's going to be fine. I don't worry about the 22s, because those guys are going to be, it's just going to be a little slower for some. There's going to be some that are going to pop off the top, whether there's not one game of club lacrosse this summer. Those guys are still gonna go, and like for my son, it's business as usual. He's up every morning, 5 a.m. We're at he's working out, he's lifting, he's running. He has a summer job that he's working at a boatyard. The stick's in his hand, he's playing nonstop. So he's as dialed in. It's business for him. So that's one of the things that my advice would be to all the 2022s. Just don't worry about anything that you cannot control. Just dial in, work hard, focus on on being the best player you can be, and staying as healthy as possible, and spend some time on your body on things you normally wouldn't, stretching, whether it be yoga, different things, injury prevention stuff, because that's my biggest fear with this whole thing, with the downtime these kids have had, and then to have to dial it up at a sick level. But get all your ducks in line, finish school strong if you haven't already, and just be ready for the unknown.
So let's talk about some lacrosse on the field, because I think we're all dying to do that. We're going to look back at the Olympic rules game that the Team USA played against some WPLL All-Stars back down in Florida in the fall. And you've got some plays that you've picked out for us. Let's start with one here toward the end of the first half. Walk me through what stands out to you about this.
Yeah, I just think you see how we talked about getting those outlets, getting them up and out. TC stretches the field there. Liz throws a perfect pass, and then we're back to redefend. So, I think early in this game we struggled. I think we were down 6-2, and we really settled down. We went to we put a little box and one zone in earlier in the day. You can see we're kind of in that now. And our players, their heads are spinning. They're worried about shooting space, which didn't exist in this game. So, we asked them to trust it, and we started out in man. That was the plan, and then we wanted to. Obviously, we're how competitive I am, and we are. So we went to that our eagle defense, and which is a zone, and I thought we did a really nice job of settling the spot. But you see how we stretched that. We played with they were playing a little zone there. You pull a person out, and you get a nice step down. Taylor had those back-to-back goals there, and just getting into those soft spots. And this is a play here. I believe this was the play I felt like really got us going here. Allie Kennedy on Dana Doby, great defensive job, rides her out of bounds, picks the ball up here, and now we're going the other way. So you have a young kid, boom, we're up and out. They're running people off. One of the things we noticed with them early in the game, they were running players off. So we tried to get our players to sub at different times and push too deep at all times, which gave us some of those fast breaks. And this was a great sequence our team put together from being down, 6-2, to turn around, this run here that we're on. So, and even as it continues there, they made a nice play there. Liz is incredible. She's above average, as I always tell her. So you see they do a nice job here. It's such an entertaining brand of lacrosse. This is why I don't understand when people, kind of knock it down. I love this version of lacrosse. I think it's refreshing. The fans there got such a great opportunity to see this game at such a high level. But see our pressure, we started to feel a little bit. And there's Allie right here. Off I believe one of the players knocked the pass down to get Allie up and going. So, you see how WPLL subbing some players off. They hit a couple players on. Well, we always dropped two back in the hole to make sure we took away their numbers, and we always pushed two up the floor to kind of give us our numbers. So I thought strategically our kids, our women did a really good job of adjusting to a different style, because this is a lot more like, when I coach our kids playing box, my boys, and these guys did a really good job of, really not having much experience in this style of lacrosse. But you see right away we stretch the field. If we're on the front end of a sub, Liz throws that bomb there. I think it was the end of the half anyway. Yeah, we were trying for a lot, but that was a real good job by we went on a heck of a run there.
So let's take a look at another play, and I think the thing that continues to stand out, which is sometimes impactful in the field game, but the ability to turn defense into offense so quickly.
Yeah, that's the key here, and then how you sub, because you have to sub. They did a really nice job. That's where we rested in our zone, which again, if you're not used to playing a box in one zone and you rest, that's where you had a great cut there by WPLL, and they made a nice feed there. So we have to do a better job of getting in hands and pressurizing them and making them look to sidelines, not to the goal. But here you see how we do a nice little job running some motion in and out of the crease. Little shot there. You see that we overloaded one side, which they had a tough time with. And we got a beautiful goal with Kylie on the backside. Great pass. I believe it was Taylor Cummings on that throw across there. That's where we started to stretch. But notice how we always get we get three back, two off the field to sub, and then those two off the field that are coming off the field are in the top of our zone, and are the first up the field the other way. So we had a pretty good subbing pattern that I thought they kind of struggled. Picking us up what we were doing. And there's, Allie makes a nice defensive play. She's pushing numbers there. They did a nice job getting back, but then she hits Kylie right there. And those two have connected a few times through the years.
No, absolutely. And let's get to the final play here, because once again, it stands out to me that it seemed like you guys developed a strategy almost like basketball, where you kind of rotate players back to the top of the box so that you do have people back to stop that transition.
Yeah, so this was a lot like box lacrosse here, where you're playing pairs on the side. You get the opposite person flowing. So if you notice there, we're playing a little two-man on the side with Allie and Kylie, and then you get that top center person. The three on the back side are cycling. So that's a strategy a lot of times used in box. And I think when you have players that can execute really well in the two-man, which those guys did a nice job there of sealing and then slipping. I think the game, you could see the flow of it. So yeah, that was a nice job by our squad, especially that backside motion. You don't realize, like, those guys don't get assists on that, but their motion alone keeps that whole side of the zone busy. And then it's really a 2-on-2 with two players that know how to play in those spots. And Allie gets a good rip there. Dyson with a nice pass from Kayla Traina. And we're able to kind of dice through the top of their zone. I think they were kind of caught resting there a little bit. It was interesting to see the players that they did a really good job excelling in the style of play, and it's great. I'm a huge advocate for this. I'm excited. I think the fans love it. I know every fan that was there was just in awe of the athleticism, and I think no whistles. Even going back watching that game yesterday, there are no whistles. The game was just so free flowing and fun. There wasn't, people weren't scratching their head saying, "What was that call? I don't get it." Like, you didn't have to explain it to people. And the players with no shooting space or anything like that. I think one player got hit with a shot in the leg, but other than that, it was just so entertaining and refreshing.
Yeah, it certainly moves. It was fun to watch, and hopefully we get a chance to see it in action in the Olympic Games someday. We will see it in the World Games soon. That those have been moved back here to 2022. Joe, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for being on call. Be safe and take it easy this summer, but I know you won't.
I don't know how. I'm sorry. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
See you, Joe.
You can watch the full conversation with Coach Spallina on demand here on LAC Sports Network and the FDF Next app. That's one of a dozen U.S. Lacrosse Coaches on Call segments available to you, including conversations with John Danowski, Jenny Levy, Kelly Amonte-Hiller, Nick Myers, and more. And if you want even more Joe Spallina, because who wouldn't, also on demand, check out the video series Stony Brook Lacrosse, Us versus Everybody. It's a behind-the-scenes, all-access look at the Stony Brook women's program during the shortened 2020 season.